Hi, Squid here with another Java tutorial, and in this tutorial I'm going to be covering networking, and I'll probably make this like an omnibus of some sort, but anyways, the first thing I'm going to say is if you've done sockets before, in this tutorial I won't be covering multi-thread sockets. That's going to be in a later tutorial, but yeah, so let's get started. So the first thing to do is basics to networking, which is, or not networking, more of sockets. So that's what we're doing in this tutorial. So a socket works by basically, imagine you have a place, and this is going to be the capital. So imagine you have a country, and this is the capital, and the capital's name is server. And in the capital, he has a little port, a little C port, and this port has the ID of 8080. Oh gosh, 8080, good, perfect, just done absolutely right. No questions. Shut up. And this connects to a little town. The ship goes to a little town called client. So that's basically the basics. So the way this works is you have a server with a port, and the port connects to a client, the client connects to the port, and the port under the server, and then they just talk to each other. And you can have a multi-thread client, which basically says under the same port you can have multiple clients. And that's how a multi-thread works. So I'm gonna assume you know what a thread is, and a thread is like a job. It's like a thing, something to do in Java. And usually sockets only have one client, which is under one thread, but they can also have multiple clients if you have multiple threads. So that's the basics of sockets in Java. So I'm just gonna pause the video. Alright, so now that we're in Eclipse, we can go ahead and we can create a new class, and this class is going to be called server. So the first thing we need to do is create a server. So in the server we can just create a new main method, void main, and just create a new main method, string arg, oh god, I suck at typing, string args. And this is going to be create a new method, main method. So the first thing we need to do is we need to declare the port number. So int port num is going to be equal to 8080. Now 8080 is if you want to connect to a machine. Now you use port 80 if you want to connect to a website server, which is a bit more complicated. But for now we're just going to use port 8080. Now what we need to do is we need to have, oh my god. Oh yeah, and the socket server server socket, that's why. Okay, so now we need to create a new server socket, which is basically going to have the it's going to store the data it's going to create the server, actually. It's going to create the server. SS is equal to new server socket at port num. And that's just going to create a new socket. That's basically going to just say, alright, you're doing a socket now. So now what we need to have is we need to have a socket client is equal to ss.accept. Now because this isn't a multi-thread, you can only have one of these. Accept. Oh my god. Okay. Accept. I don't know what I did wrong there, but whatever it was something very, very wrong. So now that we have that, now I'm going to go by this. Like I said, this creates the socket, and this says, okay, there's a client who's trying to get in. You're going to accept him. Now this only happens if there is a client. So now what we need to do is we need to have something that writes to the client. So print writer out is equal to new print writer client dot get output stream. That's just going to write to the client. Now we need to read from the client. So we can do that by saying buffered reader BFF best friend forever equal to new. If that's how it goes. Is it best friend forever? I can't remember. Input stream client dot get input stream. And that's right. Okay. Now what we need to do is we need to read and we need to make a thing that actually literally reads from the client. So input. I want to say while there is still something in the input. So while input equal to in dot BFF dot. So I'm so used to being in is not equal to null. And we can just put that there and that there, and there we go. And then basically what we're going to have in here is we're going to say SYSOut. So this is going to read and write to the receive. That's not how you spell received, but I don't think it's how you spell received, at least. So if it's received, then you're going to create a new GUI. Message dialog, null. If you haven't done GUIs, I would recommend you go to my GUI tutorial and read that. But input. Okay. So, excuse me, to stretch a bit. There we are. So that's just basically going to have that, and then we just out dot println input. So this is basically writing to the client. So that is basically how you make a server. Now what we need to do is we need to make a client. So I'm just going to pause the video and then make a client class. Alright, so I created this client and a new main method, and basically what we're going to do now is we're going to create a new int and port number again. Port num is equal to, and it's at port 8080 again. Now this time we need to do some extra stuff. So you need to go to your start menu and type in CMD if you're using Windows. I'm just going to assume you're using Windows, and I only know how to do this in Windows, but once you have the command line open, you're just going to, this isn't necessary, I just like doing this, so I have something that looks like this. So, but now what you need to do is you need to type in IP config, there we are, IP config, and you should get a whole list of information if you type in ipconfig. Now, what we need to do is we need to find the IPv4 address, which is right here, which is 192.168.11.4 for me. Now, this isn't going to work if you're just going to try to connect to my machine, because A, I probably won't have a server running, and B, IPs are not static. So, anyways, I probably will create a server eventually for people who want to connect with clients, and I will just create something that writes back to your client. But anyways, that's a later story. So this is going to be host nam is equal to 192.168.11.4. So that's just basically going to create the IP address. So now what we need to do is we need to create. Sorry, before we do anything, I actually want to go here and I just want to make some benchmarks that says. Here, let me just pause and. Okay, I just had to do something real quick. I'm sorry, I'm really sick. I'm really sick. Okay. Socket sock is equal to. And this is just going to basically tell Java, okay, you're connecting to a socket somewhere, and that socket is going to be as host name and port number. And then this needs to be in a try-catch statement. I have 5 minutes left on this video, try-catch. Okay, so now that we have that, I'm not going to go by and put messages for each of the errors, but you can do that if you want. Now we just have to make its thing at print writer PW, something that is going to write to the socket. So is equal. You know what? Why not out? Out is equal to new print writer sock dot get output stream. Okay, so now that we have that, I'm just going to save time. I'm just going to copy stuff. So this basically just writes. This just reads from the server. So let's just import all this. Oh God. Import that. There we are. And actually, I don't even think this is necessary. So let's just comment that out. I don't think that one's necessary. But anyways, we need to do basically what we did in the last part. We can just copy this and paste it, because it's basically doing the same thing. Only here we need to do 2 flushes. We need to flush it twice. So there we are. Message received. We do not need any of this. And yeah, that's basically that. So now all we need to do is we need to print connecting to server, and we need to, after that, or no, after everything's in, we can just print success. We're in. Okay, and this is going to be stdin. Yeah. Okay, so that's basically how that works. So now what we need to do is we need to just run the server. And we wait error. Main method not found. String RXS would be Y. Okay, that was a very stupid mistake of me. Targeting server started. Now, what we need to do is we need to go to Windows, Other Preferences, Debug, just so we can see that our server is actually running. So now we need to go to Client, and we need to run Client. Success, we're in. So if I type in hello, we go to server, message received, client accepted, message received, and it's probably not going to show me the GUI, which is absolutely fine. So we just go here, get rid of this. So that's not going to show up. I don't know why. It sometimes does show up, and it sometimes doesn't. It's kind of flaky. So, anyways, if we just rerun the server, and we just rerun the client, we go back to server, it says client accepted, we go back to client, and we just type in hello, message received, hello. And you can also type in as many messages as you want, like har, and that's because we flushed it twice. So I'm just gonna quickly close preferences. I'm just gonna quickly go by and explain what all of this does. So here is just, yeah, I actually thought I explained all of this.